Yo, so I'm just chilling on the couch right now, but some events have occurred in my life, and it's important that share this thought because I know that there are a lot of people out there that don't feel understood. Now, look, I have a history of, in a way, being wanting to be right, because I have that background in being a psychologist or wanting to be a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist right now, but wanting to be a psychologist, learning about psychology, and so I had that. I have that ability to point things out, right? That's like the third eye, where you're able to see the patterns and you're able to analyze and really root out the source of the specific behavior or the source of the specific pattern. Um, so with that comes this ego of being right, and for me, um, going through relationships, I've learned that it wasn't so much about pointing out what was wrong, but about being understood. and and because I've also been on the other side of it, where I know what it means, what it feels like to be looked at and be told who you are, and people don't like that, and that's the thing that pisses me off about, that pisses a lot of people off about psychologists, because um they're presented as these people that are very disconnected, and they're observing and they're telling you what you are, who you are, what you're doing, rather than actually listen to you and be there with you. So this is kind of a concept that I've taken that has helped me so much in my relationships, especially with my wife. Um, and this also points to, there's this conundrum of being able to be yourself, wanting to be yourself and speak your truth, but also you don't want to impose your truth on others. You just want other people to hear you. Like you want to be heard. So when it comes to communicating with people and building relationships, when you speak your truth, you don't want to come off as somebody that is arrogant, right? You want to be somebody who is seen as understanding, and also basically understanding. That's really what you want to be looking for. And so it's occurred in my life that constantly, where I feel like I need to barricade through people and continue to show or prove to them that I'm not trying um to be right, that I'm just expressing myself in a way that feels right to me. um and what I seek is to be understood, really. Like, people can have their perspectives, and the reason I speak out is so that I can be understood, but also so that, like, I can understand others. There's only, like, I have to expose myself so that people can see where I'm coming from, and if whatever way they react, I have to be able to accept that and to not be afraid to go there with them, right? I can't be afraid to go there. So yeah, so the conundrum is being yourself, and being yourself in a way that doesn't make people insecure, or that doesn't make other people feel like they're dumb or that they're wrong, but also um you know but also questioning whether at what point are you limiting yourself because you're afraid of this fear of having people feel like you're arrogant, or like you think you know better. um I think that's the issue here. So so what I want to say is that what I've learned is I am a very analytical person. I am a person that judges, in the sense that I like to observe and I like to see how things can get better. But um, and so I also become this very mental person. I'm very, like, in my head, and I speak. I'm very articulate, so I default to being articulate so I can speak clearly, and so that people can understand what I'm saying in terms of my words. Um, and so I can be that person, and so I come off as this person that he thinks he knows more, right? I come off as this person that's arrogant, and my wife has told me this too, but she didn't say as if I'm arrogant, because she knows me. She knows that I'm not coming from a place of, like, you're dumb, I know better than you. Um, it's just coming from a place of, oh, this is, something's not right. Let me express what I think. and and so the point is, if you're an individual who constantly feels like they're afraid of speaking up, because they either don't want to be wrong, or because they don't want to feel like or appear as if they're trying to be right. I think that people are going to be stuck because it's the same shadow. It's the same shadow. Like, because you're not speaking up, and there's a passive and then there's the active, the active side of the shadow, and the passive side of the shadow. The passive side would rather just not speak up because of fear um, of being wrong, right? And then the active shadow uh, is the one that isn't going to speak up, or that is going to speak up, but because they want to prove themselves right. Like, I'm speaking up because I want to prove that I'm right. Now at that point, you're speaking from a place that you already don't feel understood. And then the passive side is you're speaking from a place where you're not speaking from a place because you don't feel that you're going to be understood. So at the end of the day, it's not about being right or wrong, it's about being understood. So that's how you break out of that shadow. um, I feel like I might be confusing these a little bit, so I'm just going to reiterate. So the shadow, if you are truly in the shadow state, and the shadow state comes in fear, if you're truly in the shadow state, what you will do is you will either be passive or active. It comes off as either one. And in terms of speaking up, it's really the thing. So when you are in the passive aspect of the shadow, you are in fear and you would rather not speak up because you don't want to be wrong. Now, when you're in the active side of the shadow, you speak up because you feel like you need to prove something. Um, and so, in wanting to prove something to somebody, then that also makes you feeling like you need to shove yourself like in front, like push people away or like push people down. Um, so I tend to be the person that's more active in the sense that like I I have to speak up. I mean, I've been in both worlds, but right now I'm in this place where I'm more active. I want to speak my what I think. Like I care about what I'm doing. Like I want to continue to speak up. So, um, the people who who are on the passive side, they judge the active side because they're like, you think that you know better, right? What makes you think that you know better? Because I don't think that I know better. So what makes you think that you know better? And then the active side looks down at the passive people because they're like, you're just afraid. You don't want to speak up. Like, you know, um, so you stand between these two and you go back and forth, and so they each fight between each other. But the peak is understanding both sides, really, knowing what it means to be on both sides, but then also seeing that it's not about being right or wrong, but it's about being understood, and both sides just want to be understood. And so really the role that you as a speaker or somebody that's engaged needs to play, the role that you need to play is allowing for both sides to understand that for the active guy, he doesn't have to prove himself, he is heard. And for the passive guy, he can gain some confidence, he can gain confidence, or like he has something valid to say, and he's heard, like, and that really is in recognition of an individual soul. That really is what it is. It's like, regardless of where you're at right now, your soul is there, and your soul is infinite, and your soul is light, and so in recognition of your soul, I want you to know that I see you, and I'm going to provide that space for you to come out and be yourself, really be your soul. um and that's really what it is. That's really what it is at the end of the day. Like in any discussion, I think any relationship, and I think that how do you know whether the person is actually worth pursuing in terms of like a relationship or a friendship, whatever it is. um because the person doesn't care to be right. The person just wants to understand you, and they also just want to make sure that their perspective is being understood. And if you can, this is the point where I would always be like, agree to disagree. I don't get this. It's like, you agree that you both of your perspectives are different, but because of the recognition and acknowledgement that you each have for your individual souls, because of that, and you can tie a purpose into that, and because this relationship, you value the relationship's purpose more than you do the fears that come from it. Because of that, then you will move forward. And so I've been in tons of situations where, and another one just recently happened, and it's one that I'm going through, but we'll see what happens with that. But at one point, you just get tired of having to explain yourself, or having to, barricade your way um, through specific lines that people set, like, hey, if I speak up, I'm not trying to be arrogant, or if I don't speak up, um, it doesn't mean that I don't have something to say. That's super important. That's super important. And like, I don't want, like, for me, I'm in a position where I recognize that, where it's like, where I'm tired of having to deal with those two energies. I just want to be, hey, this is where I'm at. I want you to know I'm telling you this so that you can come here and play with me. That's it. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that that's an issue that maybe a lot of people face, maybe they don't. But um, I think that overall, the lesson is, don't try to be right. Stop trying to be right, or don't be afraid to be wrong. Just look for understanding, and really, you don't have to look for. And at the end of the day, the understanding comes from your soul. Like, that's where this all stems from. Like, you don't ever place any value, any guidance outside of yourself. The guidance is always internal. That's the thing. So you'll never want to prove yourself to somebody, or you'll never want to yeah, you'll never want to prove yourself to somebody, or you won't feel like you need to prove yourself, because you already have the proof here in your soul. Like, it's here. It's in your heart. So um that's really the goal. Like, that's the key to breaking out of those two shadows, okay? If hopefully that's helpful for you. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have. Thank you for tuning in. Stay lucid. Peace.